Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss the recent changes from patch 0.1.1, which introduced a nerf to the Mask of the Stitch demon interactions that I was using in my demonform build. Many of you have been asking for an update, so let's dive right into it. Now, if you weren't aware, the patch note mentioned that it fixed snapshotting issues with energy shields when using the Mask of the Stitch demon unique as an Infernalist, so whatever the interaction that I showcased in the last video no longer work. The good news is that I'm still using it in my build, but I have made some adjustments, so we can talk about what are the changes that I have implemented. As per usual, the timestamps and the written build guide on Mobalytics link will be in the description of this video, so feel free to check it out. The biggest question after the patch is how many stacks of demonform can we achieve and whether this build is still viable or not. So the answer is yes, this build is still viable and we can push to over 1000 stacks if needed for Pinnacle Bossings. However, we'll need to make some sacrifice to our defense in the process. Now, I still want to use the Mask of the Stitch Demon as that's the only way for us to really realistically get a high amount of demonform stacks, and it's functioning like how it should right now, so we'll have 0 energy shields. And with our life pool, we'll die from pretty much anything in the games, so we'll need to add Mind over Matter into our build, which convert our life pool into mana, and that would let us tank some hits. With our energy shield essentially being at 0, we'll then use Eldritch Battery to add the useless energy shield that we have into mana pool to make us even tankier, so we'll have about 2.5k effective life pool, which don't get me wrong, it's not really that tanky at all. And it's the trade-off that I'm willing to take, is the deal with the devil. There is a huge problem with going Mind over Matters, besides having only 2.5k effective life pool, is that we are also using mana to cast our spell, and we really want to keep our mana at max most of the times, especially when doing any contents with high density like Breach or Ritual. The first thing I added to the build is by adding another socket to Blasphemy, which is going to make it a 6 socket gems. And I put in Magnifying Effect, which will now make our Temporal Chain aura affect a larger area, which will make it harder for us to get hit. We really don't want to get hit in most cases, but lucky for us, the Demon Dash is pretty elusive, so make sure you use it well to dodge pretty much any attack and pay attention in mapping. The second thing that I added to the build is by switching the Green Feast aura to Mana Remnant aura, since we no longer have any energy shields. This means that when we kill enemies that are shocked, we'll have chance to spawn Mana Remnant, which will refill our mana. We'll have easy access to Shout from Lightning Warp, which you can cast to call enemy or on top of Lightning Bolt to create Shock Ground, and this will make sure that all enemies that we kill on top of the Shock Ground will have a chance to spawn Mana Remnant. I've also added Soul Drain to my Lightning Warp, and whenever my mana run low, I'll kinda use this as a panic button to recover my mana because it recovers 12% mana whenever you call an enemy, and at higher stacks, you can easily just spam this over and over on top of an enemy packs to kill them all and recover your mana because this does pretty good damage as well. I have also added Infernal Hound to the build, and this guy is pretty amazing. He can add fire exposure to the enemies, but mainly he's there to absorb 20% of the damage from hit for you. I also swapped one of the jewel with a sapphire jewel, which recovered 2% of mana on kill, and also with increased maximum energy shield to help with some extra life regen. And just by using one of this jewel, you will see that most of the time you can sustain your mana at 100%. The last thing that I did was to kind of change my anointment on the amulet to Mental Toughness, and this is to kind of counteract the raw mana notes, which increase the mana cost of skills. So yeah, all the change can be seen in the written build guide, and overall doing mapping, this is quite comfy, but it will take some time for you to get used to. But really now you can feel the adrenaline rush when mapping with the demon form because it's kind of like the high risk, high reward gameplay, and it's quite fun. I have only made a few minor adjustments to the passive skill trees, and it's due to the fact that we are now putting points into Eldritch Batteries and Mind over Matters, as explained in the defensive sections. So I'm taking raw mana to increase the maximum mana that we have. We have increased mana cost of skill, which I can explain, that I put Anointment into Mental Toughness to kind of counteract that. I have also decided to take this whole area cluster here. Repulsions is pretty good. It gives me chance to knock enemy backs on hit. So whenever you cast the spell here, you have a chance to knock enemy back, and when you are in situations where you are surrounded, it can help you dash away. It also gives increased area of effect, which help you clear maps better. Overall, it's a pretty good note. I find myself not needed to pretty much get all the reserved life anymore because it doesn't affect the maximum life. So I had put point into Loyal Hellhound, and I put point to Bait as well to help me get some extra spirit, to just enough for me to run the setup of Blasphemy, Mana Remnant, and Cast on Ignite. So I have about 166 spirit in total. You can kind of play with this a little bit to make sure that you min-max it. But yeah, I have about 54 spirits on my amulet. And yeah, let's talk about the gear as well, since we're already here. I bought better corrupted versions of Ghostwraith for 61% of maximum life converted to energy shields. I also have this 0.07 life per second per maximum energy shields. And you can see here that my total life per second is 763. And with a maximum life of 317, I'm able to kind of sustain my demon form stacks up to about 485 stacks, which is more than enough for mapping and pretty good in general after the nerf. Realistically, you only need about 350 to 400 stacks to finish the maps with all the mechanics in there, so this is plenty of time for you to stack up and finish the map. Yeah. Let's talk about going over 800, 900, or even 1,000 stacks of demon form, and you can kind of do that by using this setup I have right here. So you can see my maximum life is 211, and I have about 1100 life recovery per second. And this would roughly put me at about 950 stacks before it starts draining my life. And because I'm using this amulet right here, Everlasting Gaze, so this gives you 30% maximum mana as extra maximum energy shields. And it kind of overlaps this Mask of the Stitch Demon, just like Ghostwraith. So you can see that my energy shields kind of go to about 6,300 here. And by running 2 Ming's Heart, you further reduce your maximum life, and therefore you take less damage. So you can sustain your demon form longer. And realistically, you can use these setups to get enough stacks to have enough damage to kill Pinnacle bosses. But you also, because we are using Mineable Matters, and we're casting and we'll run out mana quickly. So it's not really doable without the melting Maelstrom mana flask. So once I have that, I'll do Pinnacle Bossings. But you can clear up until the boss with the normal setups. This would get you to about 500 stacks, and then you would swap to this, and you have to wait for like 10 minutes to get about 800, 900 stacks, and then you can just go in with the melting Maelstrom, your mana whenever the culmets come down and drain your mana, you can just press it, your mana go back up to full, and then you can keep rotating your damage on the boss. The boss will get frozen pretty quickly from the culmet, and it should die. So that's the idea behind going for a lot more stacks. You can also, if you want to be having much more energy shields and therefore much more life regens, as you can see here, if I unspec Eldritch Battery, I could go all the way up to 1400, which easily can put me at 1200 stacks or even 1300 stack, which is a lot of spell damage, extra spell damage. But then you only have about 1500 effective life pool, so I'm not sure if it's worth it. You would one-shot pretty much anything in the game at that point, but you could also die easily. So you have to kind of balance it out. For me, I rather just take Eldritch Batteries and just be safe. This should be plenty of damage to kill a boss. The main thing you need is the Melting Maelstrom, which is extremely strong for Mind over Matter build in general. So yeah. Let's end this video with a quick map showcase. This is a particularly dangerous map with a lot of damage mod. It's what I usually run for Breach. It has increased quantity of items. Monster level is 81. It has a boss in there too as well, so it's going to be pretty good for this showcase. Savannah is a pretty good layout for Breach, and hopefully this video will kind of showcase you that even though we kind of lose the energy shields, which make us a lot less tanky, we can still clear these kind of maps. So the first 30 seconds of the map or so, you just kind of want to chill. I think I'm a bit laggy here. It's kind of weird. Yeah, my internet upload speed has been having a bit of issues. Hopefully I wouldn't die in this map. Actually, the internet is really bad. Yeah, they probably know I'm doing a showcase. Alright, so... yeah, so before getting to maybe 30-50 stacks, you're not going to do a lot of damage. You just kind of have to see my movement here. I kind of kite the monster around. And great, it's laggy. Hopefully I don't die. Yeah, well, it's not looking good. Maybe we need to do another tag. Okay, so that guy, okay, well, that guy with the mana siphon is extremely dangerous for us because we are might over matters, and if we run out of mana, we're just going to die. So you have to pay extremely careful around that guy. Yeah, just quickly kite him around here. So yeah, about 60 stack, you start doing some damage. And okay, yeah, you can see that the AoE is pretty good. Just make sure that every time you cast, you should also do a quick dodge. And just get used to the playstyle. The rotations is pretty much one button. You don't really have to press anything. Sometimes when you run low on mana, you could press your lightning warp to... You see all those enemies with the blue light on their body. They can be called with lightning warps, and you can use it on them to create these shock rounds and then get a lot of mana remnant, which is going to be pretty good. And okay, so we are at around 100 stacks now. From here you can start seeing that all the rares are going to be killed pretty easy and pretty fast. Like I mentioned before, this build can go all the way up to about 500 stacks, but realistically you don't need that much, you don't need that high. For map that have bad layout, maybe you need to go maybe to 500 stacks just because the layout is bad. But GG kind of put the checkpoint into the map right now, so you should still be fine. Yeah, so again, you are squishies, but I just don't get hit, I guess. Just don't get hit. Yeah, the playstyle is like that. You have to use the dodge roll a lot, but that's pretty fun. And again, like, maybe this is the way it's intended to play. It's high risk, high reward. I'm going to around 150 to 200 stacks. You should be able to clear the bridge as well. So I'm going to look for the bridge here. Normal mapping is completely fine. This build shreds. Like, 1 comet, 2 comets, and the rare is basically frozen. And you one-shot all the white mobs, so they shouldn't be any issues. This layout's pretty good. Hopefully this bridge is going to be pretty juicy, so yeah, and I keep lagging. Okay. Oof. Okay, I mean, if I don't die here, it's going to be a good showcase because you can see that even when you're lagging or when I'm lagging, I'm not dying, so you really have no excuse. Okay, so I found the boss. I mean, you really want to do the boss at maybe around 300 demon form stacks. It would make it a lot easier. So usually I just do the boss when I reach 300 stacks. Obviously, if you kind of find the boss earlier, you have to backtrack a little bit. I should just not going to kill the boss at like 200 stacks. You can still kill the boss at 200 stacks, but it's can be a little bit messy. Yeah, so just find the ray here, and you can see that 1 or 2 comment and the ray will die, and I can basically go up to double these stacks and still be fine. So we have plenty of time. You can do all kind of the mechanics. Okay, yeah, so here's a bridge. And it's going to be pretty juicy. I have all the reach node allocated, so it's going to be really high density. Let me just focus up here a little bit so I don't die. For the showcase. Hopefully I don't lag as well. So the rotation is just basically cast, enfeeble, dodge, cast, enfeeble, dodge, cast, enfeeble, dodge. Try not to get surrounded. You can see that we are easily able to keep our mana high here. And it's fine dashing into packs. Like, monster is just slow and we just one-shot everything. You just have to get used to the playstyle. Just don't panic and you should be fine. If I see my mana run low, I would use Lightning Warp, but for now, just one button pretty much. Just press Enfeeble, and yeah, that was the bridge. So yeah, it's pretty good. I feel like the nerf patch kind of make us play like how it's supposed to be now. You can't just run into stuff with green fees. And I mean, at this point, this build can't get nerfed anymore, so we already hit rock bottom, so this is going to be pretty good. Only up from here. Maybe they will buff demonform somehow. You know, it will be pretty crazy if they let us use weapon in demonform. If that happens, I have so many ideas. Just snipe these ads here, and at about 250 stack, you'll see the boss just going to get destroyed. Yeah, and that's pretty much the map. So yeah, the build is fine. It's still viable. Hopefully you guys going to have fun with the build. Let me just quickly clear this, and then I'll show you the Atlas tree. And yeah, so I'll allocate pretty much everything. I have deadly evolutions, I have all the bridge nodes, I have the boss difficulty at level 4. And that's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.